Thanks for listening to our podcast, Living Life with the Rogers. My name is Cameron.
And I'm Kira, and this is a lifestyle podcast where we talk about all the things and share our unpopular opinions. Tune in.
Welcome to Living Life. Welcome to Living Life with the Rogers. We are still freezing in our basement, and I am with the lovely...
I'm still embarrassed. Kira. I will forever be embarrassed.
That's my job. That's my job. So, Kira and Cam here with you, and we have a fun topic. But before we get to the topic, we always love to talk about a little current event action. And we just watched one of the world's worst Super Bowls in the history of Super Bowls. It was trash.
You can't say that.
Why can't I say that?
Super Bowl.
The Super Bowl's trash. It was awful. It was over before it even started.
I'm sorry, my boy was so distracted with the rude Brad, Chad, and dads booing our girl. How are you going to go and boo her like that when she has brought so much more money and viewership to the NFL? You know who it was? It was the classless Philly fans. That's who it was.
Oh, man. Well, there goes our Philly audience. Sorry, guys.
Philly fans are like next level.
They're something else. They
have no class.
Well, they
really don't.
They know how to party. Let's put it that way.
So I'm like, her face was literally like, because it was like, what? She is just another spouse. They're supporting her boyfriend.
But what does that have to do? I mean, have you seen the videos of
all the
Travis Kelce? No, I was talking about Travis Kelce on the field. Looks
well, they
awful.
showed Anne Hathaway. She didn't get booed. They showed so many other celebrities. They didn't even give her that much time. She was on the screen like one time. I just don't understand.
Okay, and I've been asking people this question. So I'm going to ask our audience this question: is why do you think Taylor Swift was booed? So what we're talking about, to give the context, is during the Super Bowl a little bit ago, they put her on the Jumbotron. And when they put her on the Jumbotron, I don't want to say the whole, greater majority of people booed her. And I have an opinion. My opinion is that I think the average NFL fan is just getting tired of the NFL profiting off of her. And we're getting tired of her. Like, if you're watching the game, you're watching it for the... And it's not her fault, 100%. And I'm not saying it's her fault.
So go turn your hate towards writing letters to the NFL or boo the commissioner. Don't boo her.
Do people write letters anymore?
Call them.
I don't even think people write letters anymore.
Okay, well,
a dying art.
Take your hate not to her. It's not her fault. She doesn't ask to be on the screen.
Well, I'd be curious to see if they put Roger Goodell up on the screen. What would?
Yeah, boo him. Like, what the heck? It's just so annoying. I'm like, she is like the most kind-hearted, like loving person, and she's literally she's doing nothing wrong. And it's like to boo her like that. So anyways, everyone was saying that Travis felt helpless because she was being booed and he couldn't do anything about it.
Oh, poor Travis.
And it got in his head. Oh. It's just a theory of why he played like poo-poo.
Oh, man, I don't even think we can say he played. I think he stood there.
Yeah, he had a rough game. All
right. And then the halftime show. So I did a little research on this, which was really cool. First of all, I didn't realize, like, I was kind of in and out of it. I think we were putting kids to bed and all this whole thing. Serena Williams making her appearance, which was awesome. That was so cool. And her doing that crip dance was really cool for a couple reasons. So apparently her and Kendrick Lamar they were born in LA, and apparently that crip dance came out of LA. So that's kind of cool. But then they were interviewing her afterwards or whatever, kind of like, why was she appearing on set? And apparently the news is, and she kind of referred to this, and in 2012, and it was like a Wimbledon, so her tennis match, that she won her title, and she did I think it was kind of like a crip dance or just a simple dance, and she got a lot of hate for it. And in her defense, she was like, well, I just won the match. Yeah. I was so excited. Can you imagine, like, any athlete, like, you
it's
poured
like
your
us doing
heart
the
and soul.
Fortnite dance. It's like we look stupid doing it. But
can you do a Fortnite dance? Because we would. I mean, we have a video audience, and we could steer. Could you imagine how many people are listening to the podcast, and if they know that you knew a Fortnite dance, they would definitely go to our YouTube channel and check it out. Okay, maybe I can't remember a floss. I mean, what the heck. How long do I have to do this for? It's so bad. All right, the floss definitely needs to die. All right, So where were we? We were talking about Serena Williams. So you put your heart and soul into your sport, and then you're just however excitement comes out of you, you're going to express it. And then she got a lot of hate on it. So I thought that was kind of cool of Kendrick Lamar to bring her out there to kind of just like, and I'm sure there was like some shade against Drake and this whole other thing going on. But I thought it was kind of cool to like, all right, like, yeah, go out there and do the thing. It's like, good. That's awesome. I love it. So big fan. Yep. All right. So that brings us to sports. So the topic of today, we're going to talk about sports. We're going to talk about our experiences with club sports, maybe a little sideline etiquette, the do's, the don'ts. Maybe areas where we've excelled, areas where we've massively failed, the whole fun of it all. So
yeah, I have an extensive background with sports. You have a little bit of a background with sports.
So let's shoot to that. So what's your short and sweet background of sports?
I mean, I think most people know I did competitive figure skating for 10 years. I also swam. I also did a little cheerleading. I did a little dance. I tried soccer and T-ball, but I picked my nose and ate my boogers and picked flowers.
And how old were you when you were doing that, Bradley? Please say like 12.
Like elementary school. Who knows? I had no interest in playing like your typical soccer, lacrosse, field hockey, those kind of sports. I liked the more artistic sports.
So a short snippet so a lot of people don't really understand figure skating. So tell me a little bit more, tell the audience a little bit more about your figure skating.
Figure skating? How do you
know about it?
Figure skating?
A lot of people just see it on the Olympics every 4 years. That's all they know about figure skating. So what was the training like? What was it like? It was a little something.
Yeah, I wasn't like the heaviest trainer, but I wasn't the lightest trainer. I was like right in the middle, like in terms of the amount of time and effort, because some of my friends were homeschooled so that they could train even more. So they'd be on the ice like 4 to 6 hours a day, where I was more on the ice like 2 to 3 hours a day probably. But I would leave school early in high school, maybe middle school too, to go train. So I'd be at the rink from like 1 to 5 every day, because you do like off ice training and stuff too, like weightlifting, ballet, all sorts of stuff. So it was a Monday through Friday situation, and then we traveled a lot for competitions. So there were good things and there were bad things that came out of that experience. I would say the good thing would be, first of all, it taught me hard work, because you have to work a really long time just to like get a tiny bit better. You have to put in a lot of hours. And it's all about like judging your cleanliness, your technique, your perfection. So it's like you're doing a lot of like small changes that maybe a lot of people don't notice. So you're really like, you're focused. Hard work, focus, perseverance taught me how to lose, because rarely do you get first place, because there'd be like 18 girls in your group for a competition.
And just to clarify, you're solo, so you were going out solo,
yes.
and
taught me bravery, balls, like.
What'd you learn from that? Walk up big balls coming from face. But I guess I'm educating people into like, so there's two areas. There's the area of the jumps, and then there's the areas of all, what I call it all like the frill
spins.
Like everybody that watches
footwork.
Yeah, everybody that watches figure skating, all we're waiting for is a jump.
The problem is you can't just keep jumping back to back to back, because it takes so much strength and effort to just do one jump. And then like when you got into so like I competed at the highest level you could go, you were doing like 9 jumps in a 4-minute routine. It is so physically demanding. Like,
oh no, I can only imagine. I can't even.
You have to. I understand the frill, like you like to call it. It's called footwork, and the in between the skills is not the most exciting thing to watch. But you have to do that to regain your strength for your next skill.
Well, I agree, but I feel like our audience, like I feel like a lot of people would agree with us. How cool would it be if the next Olympics, the figure skating, it's just 30 seconds of doing as many jumps as you can, and that's all we're watching. And you just, the little 30, we don't need...
The spins are cool.
Yeah, okay. I'll give you it. So a couple spins and a couple jumps. Yeah. And then just shorten it to 30. We don't need a 7-minute Mozart song playing in the background.
But the footwork is fun as a skater. Like that was fun to do. Like there were people that just did ice dancing, which is literally you're not jumping or spinning. So that's like a whole nother category. Or pairs, boy and the girl together, but they do jumps and spins. But... I did a little bit of ice dancing, but my main thing was like freestyle, which is just where you're going out and you're doing your jumps and your spins.
So that's what everybody's familiar with on the Olympics, watching the freestyle. They go out and individual. Cool.
So the bad thing about it is, not learning how to work together. Like I love that when Callie plays soccer, it can't just be like about her. Like she's not, I mean, some teams try to do this, but our team, it's like, there's not one person that's carrying the team on their back. You need to learn how to work with your teammates in order to be successful. So I don't like that it was like just focused on me, because it teaches you to be like a little selfish, a little high on yourself, a little boastful. And then also and I've talked about this before in the body image episode, skating's really hard on your mental, perspective of your body, because you need to be the thought is that the skinnier you are, the higher in the air you can go, which you need to get height in order to get as many rotations in your jumps as you can. So there's a lot of that where you needed to be like really, really thin, and you're in these like tight little skinny dresses, and it's like,
yeah, that's the only reason why I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to have to wear a tight, skinny dress. So So yeah, my experience is not much, and I just played a lot of rec sport. You name the sport, I pretty much dabbled in it, and I feel like I could have gone somewhere in soccer, but I knew there was a lot of costs and stuff associated with going in the club and stuff, and I don't think my parents wanted to do all the travel and all the chaos that comes with it. I mean, some people said I could have been the next Pele, but those are just rumors out in the Eastern Shore of Maryland, so they'll just stay there. So if you throw my name out on the Eastern Shore of Maryland, there's gonna be some people. Oh, I know he could have been something.
I feel like parents are either like all in on the sports, or they're like no sports. Like I feel like there's like two camps, and so we had to decide, because everyone assumed that because I was so committed to skating and loved it so much and did so much with it, that I would put my daughters in skating. But I was like, first of all, it's very expensive, and I was like, we ain't begotten money for that. And second of all, I wanted them again to do something that was team related and try to like not foster that poor body image from like a young age.
Well, and to the defense, we tried to get the kids on the ice, and I mean, we weren't going to push them to it, but we tried, and there's not much interest.
No.
So basically, then with our kids, now we have two kids that are in sports. We have two more that, as they get older, I'm sure they'll find something to get into. So we have Abby in cheerleading, which, talk about teamwork. Oh my good. That has opened my eyes to literally you train and train and train and train and train, and then you get your 3 minutes or whatever it is.
A lot of pressure
to do it. And if one person messes up, they call it like
a stunt.
Oh my gosh, you get a deduction and like
pyramid. I think that's the pyramid where they.
But I'm
all
just saying the whole thing.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. One person misses their spot, misses their rotation, misses their tumble, misses something. It doesn't matter. You get your deductions, and so it's wild. And then we have Callie in club soccer. So that's kind of where we're at. So let's get to the next thing. So what have we learned? What would be your feedback and suggestion to our listeners as far as like helping them navigate their children getting into sports?
Yeah. So Callie, well, both of the girls did like dance when they were little. They did a little gymnastics. Callie didn't try soccer until I think she turned 6. I want to say her cousins were playing soccer, and she was like, "Oh, that looks fun." She wanted to play with them. So we signed her up for like rec, in the fall of one season. Maybe she had done like a little like crab kickers or camp or something. Like she had dabbled, but had never played for like a team. And she went out and she was like really good. We were like, what? Like we didn't know that she was going to be really good at soccer, but we were like, okay. And she really loved it. So then she started to hear about the club that was in our area and was like, ooh, I could play for them. And, kind of like was getting all into it. So we did like a development clinic to kind of like try it out. And the coach that was going to be coaching the elite team for her age bracket saw her and wanted her. And at first I was like apprehensive just because I knew that like, okay, you're not even 7. I know this is going to be a lot. I'm like nervous about, how, because we had always had people that we kind of knew coach her. So like, we were like, okay, like, they're going to be decent role models for her. Like, so we were a little apprehensive getting into it, but she really wanted to do it. And so we try to, as best we can, let them go for things that they're passionate and excited about. But it's definitely been like a journey of like navigating, how to, cause like, I don't care what team you play for, the culture especially I can only speak to the girls. I don't know about the boys, but the culture in club sports is very intense. It's very high pressure. You need to perform. You need to be playing it the best you can at most times, or you're gonna hear about it, or you're gonna be benched. It's a lot, and I wouldn't say that it's always positive, especially for little girls. I think some of the things that are said really like get to them and kind of like can affect their self-confidence. So it's been a journey, I would say, teaching her how to advocate for herself, stand up for her teammates, and then like conversations we have off the field about like her worth and, you know, all of those things. Do you have anything to add to that?
Well, I was going to say a lot of people are like, oh, it must be nice. Your kid found something and just jumped into it. Well, then we have, so Abby, it's been a little bit different. So we started her thinking, okay, well, let's start with crab kickers. We did that with so it was a little development camp, and we did 2 sessions. The first one, she barely got on the field, ran over to us.
I don't even think we did 2. It was the first one we tried to do. She wouldn't even go.
So then I said, let's do, we signed up for like an 8-week or something. And I said, all right, let's go one more time. So we did the second one, and I don't think she got off my leg. And so we're like, all right, well, you know, I want them to try. And I was raised kind of old school, like, okay, you sign up for 8 weeks, you're going to get through the 8 weeks. But in my head, I was sitting there going like, man, like maybe God created her a little bit differently. Like there's got to be other skills and other things we got to find and we got to pull out. Like we can't just assume one of our daughters gets into this. Okay, well, the rest of them are going to be interested in the same thing. So I think that would be my advice is like really get down. I know they're come from the same parents, but each child's going to be something that maybe they turn out kind of the same, but they're different. That's just the truth of it. Mm-hmm. So step into the world, see where they're at.
Yeah, we went to a Maryland game and she saw the cheerleaders there and she was like mesmerized. We were like, okay. And that's what she was like, I want to do cheer.
And that's wild because she's very like kind of shy, but then when we got her into cheer and then she was shy starting off, and it's helped her confidence, I would say.
I remember the first competition she did, she led her team out onto the mat. I was like, Abby? I was like, what?
I would have never guessed.
I know. But if you find something that they really love, then it's like, then you'll see kind of their little personalities thrive, I think.
Yeah. And that's what I want to speak to is I think there was this old school thought that like, you just have perseverance. You have to get like, you know, you have to grind it out. And it's like, there is some truth to teaching your kids that they have to just do some things they don't want to do. But I feel like school does that. School's the great way to just like get them to do things they don't want to do. When it comes to like these extracurriculars, like what's the point of like grinding it out and being miserable to do something you don't even have passion about?
I think with soccer, it was clearly not her thing. And she was like hyperventilating, like she didn't want to go on the field. And I'm like, am I really going to subject her to this for 8 weeks? Like, I just feel like that's torture. But it's like, you know, with cheer, every once in a while, she'll be like, oh, I don't want to go. I'm tired, this and that. And it's like, okay, no, you're going. You made a commitment to your team. You only have practice twice a week. Like, you're going to stick to this because it's something I know that when she gets there, she loves, she has friends, she has fun. I know it's going to be a benefit to her. The soccer was different because it was like, we were in the exploration phase, which I feel like when they're little, which is again, why I was like kind of nervous to commit Callie to something so serious so fast. Cause I'm like, when you're little, you're just exploring everything, right? You're trying different things. You're figuring out what you like, what you don't like, what you want to work hard at, what you want to say, not going to be. So Callie just happened to no, I love soccer. This is what I'm going to do. And, you know, that was fine. We supported her in that. But I feel like with Abby, it's like, well, when we signed her up for soccer, it wasn't like, oh, because this is going to be your thing. It was like, let's just see if you like this. So I feel like, and even now, like she loves cheer, but she may want to dabble in a little gymnastics or tumbling. It's like, that's fine. When she commits to her team, I'm like, you need to see your commitment through. But then before we re-up for the next year, it's like, if you want to try something else, then feel free kind of thing.
Yeah. So it's funny because we both were kind of new to this. So as a kid, you remember doing your activity, right? So you were on the ice and I remember like I would play t-ball, soccer, etc. And I just remember like parents kind of screaming. I didn't really I didn't pay attention. I was focused on what I was doing. And now we're the parents. So now we're in the different roles. Now we're on the sidelines.
Well, parents have gotten worse, I feel like.
That's what I wonder. Here's one thing I do know has changed is we used to be like, there's always those dads that had the big camcorders and they would be like, so I know the sideline's different from the fact there's not large camcorders on the side, but that's what I was wondering. I was kind of thinking, I'm like, has that changed like the sideline etiquette of parents and how we behave? And then is there a difference in rec to club
No.
to, you know,
I thought it was
cheer,
worse.
etc.?
I thought it was worse in club than rec, but then I went back to like a rec game after we had been in club, and I was like, some of those moms were even worse. So I don't think it matters. Rec, club. I think soccer moms are just insane, and dads. Like, it's just parents. I feel like parents are so obsessed these days with their children being like the best athlete. I don't know if they're in it for like the scholarship money, the fame, what, I don't know what it is, but like parents are just like, my kid needs to be the best. And it's like, they push these kids so hard. They're like yelling because they want their kid to play harder or do better or whatever. It's like, it's a lot. I feel for these kids. It's so much. So they're trying to listen to their coach, get direction from the sidelines. Then you have the parents giving them directions. And it's just like, what is happening? And the coaches get frustrated too, because they're trying to coach and the kids can't hear them because parents are so loud.
Oh my gosh.
It's like, I mean, I'm loud, but it's like I'm affirming the girls.
First of all, can confirm you are loud.
I am
sometimes.
loud, and every once in a while I need to be pulled away because I'm confrontational. And when I hear parents start to like say nasty things or like be dirty with our girls or like whatever, it's a little bit of a trigger for me.
Mama bear comes out.
But I'm like, I'm loud because I'm like, I'm like, yes, Ava. Like, I'm affirming the girls because I don't feel like they get enough encouragement and affirmation. So it's like, I'm trying to do that. But it's like parents that are just like, play harder. What are you doing? I'm like, why? Why do you think that's going to help your kid play better? I don't understand.
Well, I mean, poll. Okay, next poll. Do you think the
berating your child helps them play better?
But do you think sideline etiquette is important for your child's health and well-being? And do your kids, do they use it as fuel when you get angry at them, or do you find that it crushes them a little bit more? Like, I feel like there's a conversation to be had here. Like, you know, do you know your child well enough to know what fuels them and what they need at that time? And, you know, also kids go through seasons. Sometimes, they do need, hey, you got to light them up a little bit. If they're, getting too cocky or just disobedient or whatever, okay, you got to tell them what's going on, shoot them the truth. But then there's also a lot of times where, hey, a simple hug, a kind word, a gentle answer could be everything. I think
kids are definitely different. So it's like you have to cater to what they need. But I would say the majority would prefer positive affirmation and encouragement over, being told that they suck or they're not playing hard enough or whatever. I mean, call me, I don't know, I'm not really sensitive, but
that's what I'm interested to hear from other people on that, because I remember when I coached just a couple years of rec soccer when I coached Callie. And I remember the girls on the team. There was some I felt like when I was harder on them, not in like, let's clarify this. When I'm saying harder on you, there should never be an unkind word like you suck, you were this, you were like, that's just derogatory and negative, and nothing fruitful comes from that. Mm-hmm. But like, I'll use an example. There would be a couple girls that I knew, like I had to be like, go get the ball, let me see you hustle, let me see you move, and I would be intense with them. And then there were some girls I'd be, great job, I love the hustle, I see what, and you could kind of see their, some needed the let me get a little intensity, let me tell you to hustle, let me get you to move, and the others needed that gentleness. Mm-hmm. And this is speaking mostly to girls, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
Boys may be a little bit different, but
we ain't got boys, we got girls, so who knows? Yeah. But I will say too, like the one thing I do love about club is that the girls are like really working to get better. Like Callie has gotten so much better being in club because the coaching is really good. Like most of the time in club, you have coaches who have experience playing soccer, have experience coaching. There's a little bit more skin in the game. And so that's been really neat to see them work hard and grow in their skill. So I do like that aspect of club. You can get more practice, more games, more tournaments. And also too, that the girls like stick together year after year mostly. I mean, of course there's like, a few that come and go, or you have girls jumping clubs or whatever. We don't get into all that, but
it's a club politics.
Yeah, I don't do that.
So what about from a parent's perspective, would you say, what would you tell another parent getting into a serious sport with their child, what to be prepared for? What should they prepare for? And what should their involvement be like? The ideal involvement of a parent in their child's sport.
I would say be involved, but don't be overly involved. Like, I mean, you need to know what's going on, what's being said to your kid, how they're being treated. I think that's important. I mean, I feel like it's similar with like teachers at school. It's like usually like the parents get in there and get to know the teacher a little bit. And if they, don't think it's a good fit, then they may request to be in a different class, which they do in school sometimes. But then it's like, but then you don't want to be like suffocating, because I know some coaches who just feel suffocated by parents. It's like every single game or every single practice, the parents like giving them some kind of feedback or giving them some kind of critique. So it's like, you don't want to be overbearing either, but then you just want to sit back and be like, oh yeah, I trust everybody that coaches and talks to my kid and whatever you think is best. It's like, no, you're still the parent. Like you still need to, especially when they're little. Like when Callie gets older, I'll be a little bit more hands off, but I feel like, again, these girls started at 6, 7, 8, they're now 9. It's like, they're still like developing. They're still little. So I felt a little bit, because our club is predominantly male coaching. I don't know, maybe other clubs have a little bit more female presence, but there's a lot of like male coaches in our club. So there was a little bit of that like protection of like, no, like this is how the girls need to be talked to. This is how they need to be treated. We have a certain standard here. So it's like, just know what's going on and speak up if you need to. But again, it's like, we're teaching Callie that like you can speak up, but you will not be disrespectful to your coach. So like, if she's eye rolling, if she's throwing her hands up, like that's a conversation, that's a consequence in our house. But we have told her, you can say things like, hey, I would appreciate it if you talk to me a little bit kinder, or that hurts my feelings when you say this, or, can you give me feedback this way, like constructive feedback, instead of telling me, when you told me I was lazy or I wasn't working, that hurt my feelings because I am working hard. So like, I feel like you can give feedback to your coaches without, just destroying them or being super negative or like whiny or naggy. It's just like, hey, like, I'd really love if we could keep the conversation and with the girls along this lines instead of that.
Good. All right.
Prepare for like travel though, too. I would say, like, even with Abby, like her first year of cheer, we were like Lancaster, Ocean City, like
prepare to have a reliable
Hershey.
Vehicle.
Yeah. It was like, it's a lot of like travel. I wouldn't say the money is like terrible. I mean, obviously it's going to be more than rec.
Yeah, some of these
depends on which club you go to. Ours, we've always managed to find programs that are like affordable. So,
but also nowadays, I mean, how many other like expenses do we have outside of even? But so by the time you do a sport, a lot of people are looking for the recs and stuff, because it's like we're already drained as it is, let alone another expense, right?
Yeah.
But I guess it just depends on the kid if you see them excelling in something. It's
really cool to see the girls, like they're so close. They're their best friends. Like they've bonded so much. They encourage each other. Like that's what we're teaching Callie, is like, be a leader on your team. Like stick up for these girls, encourage them. Like don't get attitude with them. That's our conversation right now. Preteen attitude. Woo, that's fun. But it's like, these are your girls, like look out for them. And it's really cool to see like how they bond on and off the field. And then when they succeed, it's just like the cutest thing. There's so many like pictures we have of them just like elated for each other, which is like, that's a really cool feeling, and knowing that they worked hard and as a team and they're achieving greatness like that. It's such a good feeling for them to experience.
So that leads us to an unpopular opinion related to sports. So I'm happy to go first. I got something I'm kind of excited about. I got stewing in my head, even though there's a hat covering it. I'm stewing.
We're
you
like
see
a
the
walking
smoke coming.
ad for Union.
Yeah, no, you can never guess. You can never guess where our kids are involved, what sports they're in.
We have
You'll never know.
Hartford cheer on. Oops.
Yeah, that was
Abby.
Sorry, Abby. Hartford cheer.
We
are Hartford cheer. Yeah, get some of that. All right, put me on the team, coach. So unpopular opinion is, I think I get it. Because you hit the nail on the head. Watching these kids win and the victory is just beautiful. Like I'm like, oh, it's so just to see Callie and Abby and them raising their banners, getting their little trophy. Oh, it breaks my, so cute. Embrace the losses. My kids have grown so much from losing, and we live in an era where nobody can lose anymore.
Everyone gets a participation
like, trophy time.
All right, I'm glad you showed up, but like, no, there's a winner and there's a loser. There's first and there's second.
And the conversation, like, trust me, both girls have times where they've had their victories and they've had their losses. And of course, I want them to win every time. And I think that's why a lot of the times you see the parents in the sideline screaming, because they want good for their child too. But the conversations I've had with both of my kids after a loss, whether we're playing board games at home or we're in the sport or whatever, it's beautiful. Oh my goodness. Like, how do you lose well? And then how do you use that as fuel to get better? And then how do you a lot of people will take losses. I failed. I failed. That negative mindset will crush you. You will never succeed if you label yourself a failure. So what you do is anybody that's successful at anything, successful in business, sports, whatever, they understand that making mistakes and failure is just a part of life. It's a normal occurrence. But never, ever label yourself as a loser, as a failure. But you understand that in order to win, to succeed, to do these things, you will experience the occasional loss, the occasional fail, the occasional stuff. And it just becomes like a little speed bump in the road. It's a little minor thing,
so much,
nothing major.
There's so many life lessons you can take from sports, and losing is one of them. Like, what do you do with those feelings? How do you channel that? Like, how do you be a good, I mean, we do that through like board games with the girls too, or you do. It's like shake hands, good game.
How to be good at the loss.
Yeah, like how do you handle that? So
and then a quick bonus, second bonus one, cheerleading is a sport. Write me letters. I don't care. Sure. I'm coming at you because I have changed. I used to think I'm like, oh, cheer. So I guess Abby's out of sport. Oh my goodness gracious. If that's not a sport, I don't know what is.
Those girls are so strong, and the timing and the lifting and again, they're running around and doing this high intensity routine for like 4 or 5 minutes straight. It's like,
and all those tumble. How do you not get dizzy? How do you not?
The tumbling, the flexibility. Oh yeah, for sure. It's definitely
all right. So what's your
my unpopular opinion is that like just because you do club sports doesn't mean that like sports have to consume your life. Like, I feel like there can be a good balance. Like, I think a lot of people choose rec because they're like, well, it's casual, it's less committed. And yes, this is true. Like, it is a little bit less committed than playing a club sport. But like, just because you're playing a club sport does not mean you're training 5 days a week and traveling every single weekend. Like, she usually has 2 practices a week. Then she can do like an optional training. It's not required. I mean, Callie would do sports every night if we let her, but like, it's not required. And then we don't even travel every weekend. I would say maybe once a month, every other month. Like, you can be committed to your sport and not have it like dominate your entire family schedule. Like, we still try and make sure that one night a week we're all home for dinner. We usually tell them like, pick 2 nights that you're doing your sport, and then maybe 3. Sometimes we sneak 3 in there. But either way, what I'm trying to say that like, just because you're passionate about your sport and you're training and you're getting better and you're committed does not mean it has to like rule your life.
Well, and we've talked to people that get older and they've played one sport for so many years, and burnout's a real thing.
Yeah.
So that's the other thing is like understanding commitment, but also a lot of these people we got excited when we saw our kids are passionate about sports. You want to pour everything into it. But you're not thinking, well, if they're obsessed and doing it 4, 5, 6 days a week now, what happens when the scholarships come? What happens when they're 16, 17? Do you think they're going to be sick of it?
Yeah, they're going to burn out. Yeah, Callie, I mean, she's good and she's gotten so much better, but she trains 2 to 3 nights a week. She's not training 5 nights a week, which I know some girls on other clubs are doing. It's like, we're not doing that. Like, we have life outside of soccer. So we want to like focus on other things. It's not all about soccer. Yes, it's something she loves and she's committed to, but it's not it. It's not everything. Sports are not everything. It's not. Even though I just love the life lessons that they teach them.
Oh, so many biblical, just great life lessons you can learn from sporting. And again, start with the loss. Let's learn how to lose well.
Callie's team, when they first started, we lost a lot because our coach was focused on like teaching them proper soccer technique.
Yeah, how was the sideline etiquette then?
Yeah, so they got well acquainted with losing, which like I loved for them because it was like they had humility. It was really good. Now like they're winning a lot more, and it's like I feel like starting off losing taught them again how to work hard, how to get better, how to talk to their teammates, how to handle those feelings. So anyway, we've talked enough about this, but
that's it. Never again. We're never talking about this again.
No.
It's been enough. Too much time. Hit us up on Living Life with the Rogers on Instagram. We are also live on YouTube. You can leave a comment on there. We love the questions that we ask you. We'd love to hear your feedback. How do you feel about Taylor Swift getting booed? Of course, we want to know where you're at, where your thoughts are at.
Will Travis Kelce retire?
Oh, he needs to. It's done. When you're standing on the Super Bowl field, you know how many people would kill to be on a Super Bowl field, and then you're on there just stand like aloof. I mean, come on.
I think I think it's
retire.
just,
Let the next tight end come in.
It's okay. It's like he had a great run, but now he just.
If he wasn't dating, if he wasn't, now you got me fired up. Oh my God! If he wasn't dating Taylor Swift, everybody would be like, why is he? What is he doing on the field? It's the Taylor Swift effect. Like, because she's dating him, everybody's so high on him.
Well, yeah, because then we get to
so then they forgive him the way they forgive Taylor Swift. You don't understand. We
never used to see her in public that much. Now that she's with him, we get to see so much of her. So it's like, but at the same time, it's like
the saddest man that ever lived. We all know this. I can't live in a house with all these women and not know a little bit about Taylor Swift.
He needs to move on to the next chapter of his life. He's got his podcast. He's got shows. He's got his relationship. He needs to start a family. Like it's just like, okay, football.
Needs to start a family.
Football was a good season, but let's just like put that to the side. That's done and move on to bigger and better things.
Yeah. Agreed.
It's not all bad.
He should have retired last year.
Look, Jason Kelsey's he's busier now being retired than he was when he was playing football. Yeah. So it's like you can still have a life post football.
Well, you got to go back to our parenting podcast where we talked about the hardest thing I've ever experienced was, my full-time parenting. And that's why all these guys, they get done in the career. They're like, well, got to keep busy somewhere else because I ain't raising these kids. It's too hard.
Yeah. Remember what I said? Sports isn't everything. So you can have life after sports.
Oh, man, that's a beautiful thing. And Kira's proof of that. All right. Well, thank you for listening. Appreciate you, and we look forward to the next podcast.
See ya.
Thanks for listening to Living Life with the Rogers. You can find us on Instagram at Living Life with the Rogers Family. We love to post on there and hear from our followers.
If you would like to hear future episodes, make sure to follow or subscribe to be the first to know when a new episode is released. See ya.